Alright guys, so the second episode of Demon Slayer Season 2 has arrived, and with it, a lot of people are talking. Now unfortunately, unlike what is typical of the series, a number of these conversations do not possess positive sentiments. Now it has been expressed for a while now that the second season of Demon Slayer would begin with a 7-episode adaptation of the Mugen Train arc, which was previously adapted by the anime's first theatrical film, what was both a record and heartbreaking work of fiction. But as per usual when it comes to the masses, despite being forewarned of this reality, plenty of people are upset and or disappointed. Now I will admit that I did not expect this content to be exactly the same as the movie frame for frame, but reasonably speaking, it makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, the movie was gorgeous. Why attempt to reinvent the wheel, especially if you already have those animations handy? With this, they're pretty much able to repackage and sell the movie all over again. What you have to understand is the reasoning behind all this. The Mugen Train story was a different sort of anime movie in the sense that it adapted events present in the manga source material rather than formulate its own. With that being the case, leaving said content exclusively tied to the film would be a major misstep and make consumption of the series at later points a frustrating ordeal. And so to avoid such an important portion of the story from being cut from the anime and leading to major confusion down the line, they pretty much had to go about things in this way. And although I begrudgingly do so, I must admit that from a business standpoint, it is pretty sensible. With those additional 7 weeks, the studio has the opportunity to deliver when it comes to the quality threshold expected of the series. Not only that, but the hype and anticipation surrounding the series continues to grow as even more newcomers have the opportunity to jump in on the fun as this is playing out. Truly, what we are experiencing right now is not all too different from a movie being broken up and replayed on television. In fact, that is exactly what this is. However, these 7 episodes do count against our expected quantity of Season 2 episodes. And doing that, although a bit more devious, means that Demon Slayer as a whole, as a series, will be able to last for even longer than otherwise. It is no secret that the series is a cash cow, and with the manga being concluded, you best believe that the studio, for as incredible as they are, fully intends to milk this to oblivion and back. And what's crazy is that this very much sets a precedent for all those other series that plan on adapting whole arcs of their manga contents by way of films, which is actually a whole lot of series now considering the Demon Slayer precedent or the Demon Slayer effect, which we made an entire video on. And so yeah, we can expect to wait several weeks for any of these series to highlight uncharted content. Now personally, I wasn't exactly jumping for joy at the prospect of seeing this arc yet again for the millionth time, but I was hopeful that at the very least, the approach to animation would be different. But from what I can tell, very little, if anything at all, has changed. Certainly not enough to warrant anyone sitting through all this if they already have access to the movie. With that being said, however, we do actually have a new opening and ending for the series. Both are pretty good, but man, Season 1 was so incredible that it is hard to compare. Still good stuff as always, but Season 1 is certainly of a different caliber entirely, but maybe that's just me. Maybe you really like this opening and this ending. In regards to the visuals, this is the sort of approach that I was hoping would be taken with the season, as yes, they're going to adapt the same contents, but just go about it in a different way, a more interesting way, or just a unique way from the film. And you know what, with how episode 1 took place prior to the train and was anime exclusive content, it almost feels like that was done to reel us back in for the sake of getting the enthusiasm for this season overall going. This whole approach certainly is not without its faults, but I don't exactly consider the proceedings of the studio to be wrong. More so just unfortunate, although there's not much of a better option available to them. This, my friends, is the opportunity cost of adapting an arc into a movie. For those of us who just want to see the next phase of the Demon Slayer story in anime form, we'll simply have to wait until December. What will for some of us be a gift of the holidays, but hopefully the wait until then is worth it. Now in regards to the actual content of this episode, Rengoku, as I'm sure we all know all too well by now, is the GOAT. Again, I personally have seen this train story so many times, but each and every time, the presence that makes it worthwhile is most definitely the Flame Hashira himself. Now, one bit of information I'd like to bring into consideration would be Rengoku's statement that in any given era, there has always been a flame and a water swordsman among the Hashira. He furthermore went on to describe the various other core sword styles, which with the exception of Thunder, all have an active Hashira to represent them. But with that being said, with Rengoku ultimately vacating the position beyond this point, for the very first time in the history of the Demon Slayers, there was not a Flame Hashira present. Just a bit of further insult to injury that I feel a whole lot of people forget to take into account. One that may doubly provide more weight to the hopeful survival of our boy Gyu Tomioka. And you know what, on the note of flame and water, it is fascinating that as a Black Blade swordsman, Tanjiro is considered to be a sort of confused swordsman and one that is unlikely to survive for very long, yet as we understand it, is able to harness the two survivor elements. Besides that, not all too much is worth being discussed with this very first episode, especially because, well, we've seen all this before. But even still, hopefully you'll consider subscribing to Plot Armor with notifications on, as despite all this, we still intend to bring you guys some pretty crazy Demon Slayer videos, because when it comes to bringing you some of the best Demon Slayer content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I am Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.